graduated from that 4 months ago, but in the middle of that, I was like, okay, the best case scenario I could have is working for Amazon, Microsoft, like another 9 to 5. But I just kind of wanted to do more. And my aunt is a realtor and she's been an entrepreneur all her life. So it kind of inspired me to pursue this entrepreneurial realm. So in November of 2023, I called up one of my good buddies and I was like, okay, I want to start a company. I don't know what to do. Do you have any ideas for me? And he was part of the startup in the United States. They're valued at $85 million. He was like, yeah, go to truck dispatching. Because this, like, everything is in the ecosystems moving around trucks. And there's this whole web of ecosystem and everywhere you go. And I was like, okay, cool. We started to create this app that connects truckers with sort of like industries like Walmart or any kind of base like that. And dispatching, like it does dispatching with full load trucks and LTL and all those stuff. So I made my first mistake. I was head down coding, not really talking to my clients, not really asking for what exactly is they're looking for. And after 6 months, we built an MVP. I went out and I realized that I needed a $5 million insurance because if there was a bad actor trucker picked up a $300,000 load and wanted to steal it, I was viable because I was connecting the two parties together. So that kind of ended very abruptly. It separated my buddy, which he was helping me out. He was a university student and one of my classmates back at Simon Fraser University. And a couple more ventures here and there. I don't want to bore you guys too much, but there was a lot of hard lessons that I've learned in the early days. And I was always consistent. I never gave up. And I was like, okay, if I iterate, learn my lessons right now and just continue moving forward and not letting the setbacks kind of be like, okay, maybe entrepreneurship's not for me. Like I never let that happen. So yeah, here we are. I started my new company, Sarava, and that's how actually I started working with Alo Ai. It was late July, which, by the way, Masood and Sina, I want to give a backstory as well. Sina, I met at the local gym that I actually still go to sometimes. Him and his brother Puria were working at the front desk. And I was going to the gym and we met and we clicked right away.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dentment. Man, the setup is a little different today, so I don't know how I feel about this, but hey, let's test it out. Oh, man. Yes. Well, today we got Mr. Sadra and Mr. Sina on Dentment podcast. I am very impressed by both of these gentlemen, but especially Sadra, because Sadra is, these gentlemen are super young, but they're doing everything to the next level, to a point that sometimes I question where my life was when I was 24 years old. With that being said, Sadra John, thank you so much for taking the time. Sina, thank you for taking the time. I'm so glad that you guys were able to make it today. And you guys are in Sadra's living room?
Correct. Second living room.
Second living.
I love it. Well, Sadra is, just to kind of give the audience kind of background, Sadra is a host of Think Forward podcast, which I love what you're doing with that podcast, man. I take a lot of inspiration from what you're doing with that. And recently you started as a marketing director of Alo Ai, which is amazing. And well, hopefully, you can help us with Dentment as well sometimes.
Yeah.
The marketing and stuff. Well, Sadra John, Sina John, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself and give our audience some background of who you guys are, and we'll get the ball rolling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sadra, you go ahead. I mean, you're the guest.
All right. Well, yeah, my name is Sadra Khorvash. I came to Canada from Iran over 11 years ago. In Iran, I was doing swimming, chess, piano, just kind of occupying that type for like 7 years since grade 1. And then when I landed here, finished high school, was in the swimming team of Toronto, Ontario, got some medals there. And then I was like, okay, I'm done high school. What should I do? And both my parents are engineers. They were like, yeah, go to engineering. And I'm like, okay, cool. I could do that. but I saw the new age world is going towards like computer and software. So I went to computer science, graduated from that 4 months ago. But in the middle of that, I was like, okay, the best case scenario I could have is working for Amazon, Microsoft, like another 9 to 5. But I just kind of wanted to do more. And my aunt is a realtor and she's been an entrepreneur all her life. So it kind of inspired me to pursue this entrepreneurial realm. So in November of 2023, I called up one of my good buddies and I was like, okay, I want to start a company. I don't know what to do. Do you have any ideas for me? And he was part of the startup in the United States. They're valued at $85 million. He was like, yeah, go to truck dispatching. Because this, like, everything is in the ecosystem is moving it on trucks. And there's this whole web of ecosystem and everywhere you go. And I'm like, okay, cool. We started to create this app that connects truckers with sort of like industries like Walmart or any kind of base like that. And dispatching, like it does dispatching with full load trucks and LTL and all those stuff. So I made my first mistake. I was head down coding, not really talking to my clients, not really asking for what exactly is they are looking for. And after 6 months, we built an MVP. I went out and I realized that I needed a $5 million insurance because if there was a bad actor trucker picked up a $300,000 load and wanted to steal it, I was viable because I was connecting the two parties together. So that kind of ended very abruptly. It separated my buddy, which he was helping me out, was a university student and one of my classmates back at Simon Fraser University. And a couple more ventures here and there. I don't want to bore you guys too much, but there was a lot of hard lessons that I've learned in the early days. And I was always consistent. I never gave up. And I was like, okay, if I iterate, learn my lessons right now and just continue moving forward and not letting the setbacks kind of be like, okay, maybe entrepreneurship's not for me. Like I never let that happen. So yeah, here we are. I started my new company, Sarava, and that's how actually I started working with Alo Ai. It was late July, which, by the way, Masood and Sina, I want to give a backstory as well. Sina, I met at the local gym that I actually still go to sometimes. Him and his brother Puria were working at the front desk. And I was going to the gym and we met and we clicked right away. Started chatting up and we stayed connected. Initially started the Think 4 podcast July of 2023. I think around maybe like I think it was 2024, maybe summer, fall. I invited Sina. I was like, hey, bro, you should come on the podcast. And he was like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I do this, but I have a great candidate for you who is the founder of our company. His name is Masood Rashidpur. I was like, wow, okay, great. Let's make it happen. And also I met you guys too at the TEDx event at Vancouver because I was their ambassador for, they had an event going on and we sold out 85,000 seats. But you guys were part of that. And I met Masood there and I met Sina there. So anyways, I invited Masood over. We did a podcast, clicked right away. I had him on again for a second time earlier this year. And July, we were just kept in touch and he was like, yeah, bro, like our platform is almost done. I want to have you on, build some systems, see what you can do. So kind of worked indirectly there and now I've taken actual position there. So anyways, that's about me. Very a long kind of intro, but yes.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Sadra, for all of, the great story. I mean, it's been, quite a story. It's been like 3 and something years, I would say, since the first time that you actually met. So for the context, 4 years ago, I used to be a receptionist at one of the local gym in North Vancouver. And then, Sadra, he's an athlete. I mean, he's super great at what he does. And right now, I am one of the co-founders and at Dentment. I mean, Milad and I have been working together for close to a year, I would say, right, Milad? And yeah, I mean, we've just went through many ups and downs, and many many conflicts, many problems to come up with, really good solution, build up a team. Uh, yeah. And then before then, and right now, I'm also one of the co-founders of Alo Ai. I mean, it was initially Masood and I, uh, the ones who actually came up with the whole concept and they start building together. I mean, we didn't have, much resources and network to build the system, the software that that exists today, but we just kept on and developed and built up what it is today, and we are just helping many clinics in the US, taking care of the phone calls and making sure they're like having 20 to 30 uh, plus appointments on a monthly basis. Yeah. And if I want to go a little bit deeper, I am also coming from Iran. It's been like close to 5 years that I'm here in Canada. And I have invented several gadgets in, I mean, in the, in the medical realm. I have 2 patents as well. I've participated in many international invention festivals in Geneva, Kuwait, um, the GCC countries. And yeah, I mean, I've been to healthcare for a while, and that's why I mean, I found dental super interesting to pursue my career in. As I am, cooking with Dr. Milad. I mean, the Dentment platform. It's gonna, we're gonna launch, launch it super soon. So stay tuned. I mean, we have, some exciting news for all the dentists, dental student and pre-dental student. I mean, you guys are gonna, love the Dentment for sure. And yes, I just wanna, pass the mic to Milad and uh, some more question to Sadra.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys. That was a very, very awesome introduction for both of you. Yeah, the one thing that I love, I have this conversation all the time. The one thing that I love about the Iranian communities in general is that we come in from Iran, we come to the US, Canada, and the fact that I see Iranian people are really truly taking a path of creating value for other people and taking advantage of the opportunity, it's such a humbling moment for me because it means a lot that we are taking advantage of these opportunities. And I say this on LinkedIn all the time is like, don't let your past determine what your future is going to look like. Don't allow where you're coming from to kind of determine where you're gonna go. So I always say this is like the fact that you guys are doing it and doing it the right way. Amazing that you guys are doing what you're doing at such a young age. The one thing that you mentioned, Sadra, was that you mentioned that you started the company and then you realized that there is an obstacle on your way, but you didn't want to allow that experience to kind of determine your your journey as an entrepreneur. What was that experience like? Because when we kind of hit the roadblock and we're like, oh man, this is disappointing. How were you able to overcome that feeling so that it doesn't stop you in the journey or doesn't stop you in the track for what you were doing? How were you? Because that's very important. There are a lot of people that kind of start something and then it doesn't work out and they just give up. But the fact that you didn't allow that experience to stop you, what was the kind of the tactic or the kind of the ways that you used to overcome that moment that you felt like, man, I just failed in my project? How did you overcome that?
Yeah, 100%. That's a good question. I think for my first venture, which was the truck dispatching app, we realized that we needed $5 million worth of insurance. And that would take more than 50% of the company, like right off the bat. And there is kind of two kinds of hards that I see in my worldview. One is that the underlying assumptions that you have determined for the path are proven to be wrong. And the other one is that the underlying assumptions are right, but there's just the obstacle that if you work hard, you can overcome it, but still the foundation is there. For us in my venture, the underlying assumptions proved to be wrong because I talked to maybe 10 plus people in the community. And some of these people are like 60, 70 years of age, and they would just outright like say BS. Like they would try to defer us from the industry. I'm not sure if you guys know, like truck dispatching and the trucking industry in general is a very mafia based thing. Like, if they see a 23-year-old coming in, who's this kid? They're just not going to allow you to come and get some share. And also the insurance part was just really like, I was not ready at that time to give more than 50% of my company. So some underlying assumptions proved to be wrong, and that's how I pivoted. But I think in general, you have to realize what kind of hard you're in. But if your foundations are right, it's just like not overthinking. I know sometimes maybe Sina tells me he's like, bro, I have some problems with sometimes overthinking my task, but I think in general, just breaking it down into subsections and just getting them done one by one, not even thinking about the whole pictures, just breaking it down, getting the task that is in front of you done, and just moving to the next one, just step by step. You're not going to fix the whole 10,000 puzzle and always thinking about, oh, 10,000, 10,000. You're just going to work on this little corner, and step by step you move forward. So that's what I believe to be healthy, and the approach that's healthy. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I mean, um, that's funny because we had this conversation like, I don't know, a week back or 2 weeks
Very
ago.
recently,
Yeah,
yeah.
very recently. So I was super overwhelmed about the workload that I was encountering back then, and I was like, dude, what should I do? I mean, I am like overthinking the hell out of every single task that I am doing, and that just caused me a lots of hesitation and not deliver the job and task and everything in a timely manner. Was like, yeah, I mean, you have to just, get the first priority task that is ahead of you done, and then try to resolve the next task, tasks after. So that's the same approach that I actually practiced, and it just helped me a lot. If I just wanted to update you on the results that I actually gained, it just helped me a lot because recently I've been working a lot. I mean, I'm just waking up at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. and I like am working till like, midnight to like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. or something like that. I mean, Milad knows sometimes you're like talking in a midnight about, the projects and all of those kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, if I cannot get my mind in order, if I can, think clear to some extent, I cannot accomplish any tasks in the, chaotic world that I am having every single day. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much for that advice. I mean, and I know that, I mean, that thing alone just caused me a lot of, burnout. I mean, Milad was there. It was like a couple of months ago that I was like, burning out of, lots of pressure. I was almost giving up, I was giving it up, and I was like, Milad, I mean, I don't know what am I doing with my life. I mean, if if this is right or wrong or all those kind of stuff. And Milad told me something very beautiful. He was like, I mean, the whole entrepreneurship path that we are all in, it's just super uncertain. And the winners are the one who just, keep moving forward and get the job done. I mean, the consistency and the momentum and the resilience that you have in this path, they just lead to the success in this path of entrepreneurship. So I mean, after he sent me a couple of motivational, I would say, videos, and a lot to gain back my momentum and the whole motivation I had for work. And then I was like, hustling, and then I started hustling again. I am here in front of all of you guys. Gonna thank both Milad and Sadra for providing me with all of this constructive and good advices for this journey. I mean, it's super awesome to have these valuable individual around you we're always pushing you to do more and, and utilize your fullest potential. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I always tell Sina when we have a conversation, I told Sina, I said, when I was in my 20s and I was trying to get into dental school, it took me about 3 years to get accepted to dental school. And I believe those were the hardest time of my life because I went through a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety of like, man, like I worked all this hard trying to get into dental school. What happens if I don't get in? And I always tell him, I'm like, you just got to think about giving up is not an option. When you come where we come from, where it's just like you don't have an option to go back to something, it's going to always motivate you to move forward. I don't have nothing to go back to. My parents are not rich. I don't have a rich family. So I'm like, I got to make this happen. Doesn't matter what it is. I have to make it happen. The one thing that you mentioned, Sina, that I want to ask Sadra about this as well. In dentistry, there's a taboo around the burnout. And Sina just mentioned that something that, he felt the burnout, he felt the stress. I want to know, Sadrajan, like, how do you deal with that when you feel that way? I know you gave Sina advice, but I want to, like, you're young, you're early, you are still early in your career, but I want to know in the moments where you feel stressed out or you feel burned out, I believe that's going to be good for like, especially younger audience, dentists, business people, doesn't matter. How do you handle with your burnout and stress in the moment that you have them?
I must say, to this day, I have never felt the burnout, as they say. Maybe it's very fortunate, obviously, that it hasn't come up for me, and I hope it never does. But sometimes, obviously, we're human. We feel down and we don't want to do what we have to do, or we feel like we have to procrastinate and take some time off. I usually kind of approach that by either like getting some rest, maybe sleeping more and kind of getting my head off things, reading a book, like not thinking about the work and just separating myself. Going to badminton. I'm not sure if you guys know, I play 8 hours of badminton on a weekly basis. I love the game. So that you have to, I think every human have to have certain hobbies that takes them off the work. And maybe those are the hobbies I've always had, and I've never felt the burnout because then in that 2 hours I'm playing badminton, I'm not thinking about work. It's totally like a different world, and it has helped me greatly. So for the audience, if you guys are feeling that you're getting burnout like often and you do have those feelings, pick an activity that separates you from your work and stick to it, and it actually does magic. It helps your mental being and systems a lot as well.
That's so amazing that when you think about when I think about as a dentist, when you just mentioned something, you said just separate yourself from your work. Some even during the day, sometimes as I'm doing dentistry or I'm working, and I feel like my head is like, because we constantly trying to solve problems. You got patient in your chair, you're trying to solve issues, you're trying to figure out what's the problem. Like even for me, when I step away from the chair and I just go outside to get a fresh air and just look at the trees, close my eyes, it just makes such a big difference when you separate yourself from the work that you're doing and you're able to kind of just say, man, I just need to clear my head. Even for a couple of minutes, I believe it's become such a big deal, even in my day to day sometimes, to where I'm like, I just have to step out and just get a fresh air and to be able to come back and just feel reset. Even a couple of minutes a day makes such a huge difference in the operation of my day to day and how I do things. Well, what is the Sadra, what is your vision for where you're trying to go in your entrepreneurship route? Like, what is your long-term goal? What do you want to accomplish? What is the vision that you have in your head? Because we have this vision in our head, and I really want to know, like, what is the vision that you have for yourself in your head? And I want to kind of say, okay, Sadra, 10 years from now, I want to come back to you and say, hey, where you're at? Because that's the part that it's so fascinating to me when I talk to people and I'm like, where were you 10 years ago and where were you 10 years after? That's what I want to know because I want to write it down and actually come to you when you tell me that.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, for sure. In my vision, there is obviously like I'm young, so there has to be a monetary side to it as well. I want to, my first goal in life, I'll tell you that. My first goal is to pay off my mother's house, the house that we were at, um, which, you know, there's a certain dollar sign that I would have to give to my mom. And that's my first goal. I want to achieve that in my 20s. But as for myself, in 10 years, I would want to get to a very comfortable level that hopefully by the time I'm 34, if I decided to and something, God forbid, happened, I do not need to work another day in my life. Like I have enough passive income or I have kind of done that. So that's where I want to be. Obviously, I'm going to work until the day I die because it's just engraved in, I believe, all of us that it's a part of our day to day. Like they asked Arnold Schwarzenegger, they're like, why do you gym? Like you're 70. He's like, why do I eat breakfast? Why do I go to the bathroom? Like it's just a part of me. So yeah, same with me. Yeah, so there's two sides of it, the monetary, and I would want to by 34 be able to have that passive income. The third thing is obviously value. Like with our businesses, we have to provide others value so that we can get a little bit of that back as well. And actually, that's a pitch I approach in my cold calling as well. So obviously, like it touches many people's lives. And with the podcast too, I've lost so much money, but the only reason I continue is because for young people in their 20s, it's so valuable to see someone successful on the other side, like talking about what has been their biggest mistakes, what's challenges them, because everyone is human. Even the celebrities you see on your TV, oh, like putting them on a pedestal is so wrong to do. So I would just love to provide as much value as well, and I think that goes through all.
That's amazing. Well, Sina, I already know where you want to be because we're talking about this every day. But you know, I do want to ask you this, Sina, because for me it was so amazing when I saw you kind of. I felt when you were going through that emotional journey where you were kind of like you know, because me and you were like, you know, for audience, me and Sina for probably 7 8 months. I was telling my parents, I was like, man, I feel like I'm married to Sina because we talked so much. I was like, we talked literally like 14 hours a day. We were on the phone. Sina, do this, let's do that, let's figure this out. But
Yeah.
like, I feel like through that 6 7 months that we worked together, and you kind of, I saw your mood shifted to where you were like, you were very down. You were dolling out. You were kind of doubting everything that was happening. I want to know, what was that feeling like for you? Why did you feel that way? What was that feeling coming from? Was it the uncertainty or was it the fact that you felt like you're not accomplishing enough? Because that's such an important thing because people that are in their early 20s, you know, we all want something and we want it to happen quickly. And that's why I tell you always, I'm like, Sina, things happen very slowly. Success happens very slow. It doesn't all happen overnight. But I want to know, what was that moment for you? Why did you feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to shut down? Was it the doubts or was it just how you were kind of talking to yourself in your mind?
I mean, to be frank, it wasn't the doubt. And I mean, when I accepted to pursue my career and, be an entrepreneur, I already like accepted the fact that it's going to be uncertain. So I love uncertainty to some extent. And I love the unknowns area and everything because I have not found any interesting facts and things in the certain area that I am actually seeing on a daily basis. So that's why I'm just going for the rest of my life. I mean, my life is just uncertain. I mean, I don't know where I would end up in the next year or 2 years or a decade later. So, I mean, I have no problem with that for sure. I mean, let's say I just end up, being deported from this country and I end up in, back in Iran again. I mean, God knows. I mean, there are like possibilities, right? I mean, I still have plans that are, I mean, I won't have any problem. I mean, and I won't, get like, those emotionally, those emotional breakdowns and all those kind of stuff because of the fact that, those kind of stuff just happened to me. So the doubts and uncertainty, I mean, these are the, my two closest friends. So I have like no problem with them. But the fact that, I mean, we have this thing, called imposter syndrome. And, you know, sometime in life you just hit the bottom line and you're like, so why am I not accomplishing the goals that I've set for myself? Why am I not good enough? I mean, they're like my peers who are like, doing this. They're like way better than me. They're like achieving more, they're earning more, and they're happy. They're, I don't know. I mean, they have the momentum. And when you compare yourself with them, with their momentum, I mean, that just what happened to me. I mean, I was just, moving forward a routine, I would say, that just caused me to doubt myself and my abilities because I was just failing. And I wasn't like seeing any tangible results from all of the work that I was doing in my projects, in my work, in my career. I mean, and that's why I was like, am I even on the right path? I mean, is this direction is what I'm supposed to be and pursue? I was just doubting myself, not the whole situation, not the whole concept and the whole work, Milad. It was just myself and my abilities and all those kind of stuff. So I was just, had had some problem with my, closest friend. I had like many arguments and conflicts and everything. I was became more, I would say, aggressive towards them simply because I had some, internal problems. Yeah, I'm glad that I actually, you know, went to therapy sessions, and I actually found my way out, and got back to my normal routine, I would say. And then with my my friends, I mean, Milad, Masood, Sadra, and anyone, I could able to, get back to my old momentum and, make great things happen. So yeah, Mila, I would say that was the self-doubt, not doubting the whole situation.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, the next question I'm gonna ask, because that's, you said something, Sina, that, I was the same way, but I just to kind of give you a little bit of like the thing. The one thing I realized that in life, long time ago, I stopped comparing myself to other people because I think the comparison game is the one that you get caught up into, saying my life is this, their life is that. We all are unique in our own situation. As long as we can focus on that, I think we're going to have an ability to change our own direction and our own mindset with the way we want things to be. Sadrajan, how do you feel about that? Because I think comparison is a bad game to play. When it comes to you, do you have a tendency to compare yourself, or do you just focus on what you're doing and just say, hey, I'm going to decide my journey and how I'm going to do things?
I think that's a good question. While Sina was explaining, I was actually thinking like, do I compare myself? I think a little bit, but yeah, there's that saying, obviously, comparison is the thief of joy, and I do agree. But I think a little bit of it is healthy. Like if you, I don't know, if you don't compare yourself with others, then you have no point for trying to strive for. So there's definitely a balance, but obviously if you compare yourself too much and you're like, yeah, it's the thief of joy. I definitely agree. Me, personally, in my own personal life, it has never bothered me to the degree that it's taken away maybe my mental sanity. It's hard. I don't know. It's like comes naturally. I do compare a little bit, obviously, because it fuels me to a degree. So it fuels me to work harder, to push harder. If I see someone work, that's why actually, when I do co-work with other colleagues like you and Masood and them, like no, everyone's working at all times, because I feel like in the back of their mind, they're always comparing that. Hey, if I'm not working, like Sad's working, I gotta work. So I think that's a great place to be. A little bit of it is obviously healthy, but no, I've never had that maybe big comparison loophole that has been a negative connotation towards my lifestyle.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And then the other thing that you mentioned, the third thing that you mentioned that we talk about, me and Master talk about this all the time. And I believe that from all the people that I brought on my podcast and we kind of discussed, the one thing that they mentioned is the value. And they said dentistry is very relational, and people that can build the value are the one that are going to maximize and benefit the most from what they're doing. Why do you think in business building the value for other people is such an important thing that determines the success of your business? Instead of focusing so much on me building something, selling it, rather than building a value so other people can see it and buy it on their own. Why do you think that has become such an important thing in the current marketplace?
Well, I mean, I could go on and on for hours on this. Who engraved this in my brain? I'm not sure if you know, but it's Alex Hormozy. He's actually half Persian himself as well. The GOAT, truly. Yeah, 100%. And he always talks about like whoever provides the most value right up front to their audience, to their people, is the winner. And I think this has come over time because at the beginning, you could just be a sales guy. You could be like, oh, I do this, come buy from me. And everyone would because this concept was new. From saturation, more people doing the same thing, it's like, who can stand out the most? And it came the first person who provided something for free, which is called a lead magnet in the business term, and provided value with their content. They started winning. And everyone was like, wow, look, this X guy who's providing value, winning. And this kind of started the whole turnkey. But in a nutshell, the person that provides the most value, you are seen in your customers, in your clients' eyes as someone who is trustworthy, someone who, they're giving the sauce away because they care about their customers, they care about their clients. It just adds so many layers of trust and like being seen as an industry expert. And yeah, it's a well studied, actually, a well studied term that I can't describe it as good as Alex Hormozy. So if you're in doubt, go definitely look to him. But I believe that, like, even in cold outreach for my clients for Sarava right now, like, I recommend every single client of mine in their outreach to have something that they give for free, and they've worked so hard for like over 10 hours, and you just give it for free, because that's when your clients are like, wow, that's what he's giving for free. Imagine how much would I get if I paid X amount of dollars. So I think that's where it comes from. And in a nutshell, you just bring up your own personal hierarchy and trust by.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love that idea. Well, me and Sina always talk about value to build for, even for Dentment, we always talk about the values, the things that we can do, the things that we can provide. How can we make somebody else's time a little bit easier? Sina, in the process of building Dentment and where we are, what was early on we discussed a lot about the value, right? The value proposition. How are we going to do things that is going to be different? What was the mindset early on for you to say, okay, there is value in Dentment and what we're doing, and you're staying behind that? What was the motivation for you to say yes to this project? Because I always wanted to ask you this, because Masood was like, oh, I went to Sina, and Sina said yes. But I never personally got to
Oh,
ask you
yeah.
this because Masood was the first person. So I wanted to know what was the motivation behind your decision to say yes to Dentment as a project?
All right. So can you ask that question one more time?
Yeah. So I, when initially I met Masood, like I believe it was like last year in August, and about 2 3 weeks after I met Masood, the idea of Dentment came to me, and I had a long conversation about Masood, but I never personally got, because we just talk about building value and all that. I wanted to know what was the decision when Masood came to you and Sasina Milad came to me with this idea. What was that moment for you to say, okay, like I see something in this, and you accepted to take on this as a project? I wanted to know what was that moment? What was it like for you to just say yes to this project? Because I know there was a lot of unknown for all of us at the beginning. So I just wanted to kind of ask you that question.
That's a great question, Mila. I mean, I am glad that you finally asked me, this question, because I was like, all right, so why didn't he even ask me this
Today's the
question?
day.
I mean, yeah. All right, so that's a good question to have. So I am someone who loves people. I love building communities. I mean, because I do believe that, you know, whatever value, it just comes out of sets of valuable people around themselves. So, I mean, the community, the idea of dental community, because it has already, some ties with my, my career and the work that I was doing and I am doing right now. Right now, I was like, all right, so I haven't encountered to see anything like this in dental. I mean, in the medical realm in the US, yes, we have like many social media platform that is designed exclusively for the medical doctors, medical professionals in any specialties and all those kind of stuff. But we don't have anything like this for dentists, for dental. And since I love the community, I mean, to give you guys a little bit of context, I have hosted many events, I would say big events. I have hosted more than close to 2,000 people in Vancouver alone. I mean, it was just I was in it was in the subject tech people. I was inviting some big names out of San Francisco, and I'll just try to build some value out of that, those panels and sessions, and then gathering all of the enthusiastic people to the community. And I was to some extent, successful. I was just 2021 back then, and it was a, successful, I would say, uh, like a couple of years ago, if I want to refer to those days. And I've actually, met, my co-founders, my, many investors, many, good people in tech, and, some big names in the tech through all of these communities that I've actually built. So I'm not doing, those forms of events and all of those gathering anymore. But the thing that I love about Mila proposal back then was this. I mean, just building a, dentist exclusive community. I mean, we don't have such a thing for dentists, for dental student, for dental student. And I have already encountered many things similar in the tech industry that I was trying to solve, and I was somehow successful to some extent. So I was, wanting to extend that, um, that love towards these platforms. I mean, since I am pursuing my career in tech side of dentistry, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love people. I love communities. I love to bring them value and, solve their problem.
Yes, yes, I believe I did get the answer in full. I love that answer. And yes, the value proposition for Dentment was really that. And I'm just glad that you said yes to it, because I actually had a meeting today with one of the very big companies in the US. And I showed them Dentment, and they were like, "We don't know where you're going, man, but wherever you're going, we want to be part of it." I was like, "All right, I'll let you know." But yeah, it's exciting. So, Sandrajan, I wanted to ask you this because recently, me and Masood, speak a couple of times a day about everything that he's doing with Alo AI, what we're doing with Dentment. As far as the marketing, because you recently took on the director marketing position with Alo AI, what approach are you trying to take to essentially, like, what is your goal as far as marketing Alo AI? How are you going to help them kind of position them in a way so that they can gain the client, so that they're able to put their product in front of the right people? In the year 2025, what would you recommend, even for myself, for Dentment? What is the things that we need to do to make sure that we are marketing ourselves correctly? What are some of the things that you guys are going to do, or you're planning on doing, or you're already doing, that is going to help with that marketing perspective with Alo AI?
That's a good question. In July, late July, we started exclusively on LinkedIn because I knew LinkedIn had, good traction with it, and started a drip campaign, reaching out to dentists and talking to them. But I've realized that LinkedIn in the past couple of months, and it seems to be that trend, that if you're trying to sell on LinkedIn, it is not as effective in, let's say, a year or two ago. It is still an amazing platform for personal branding. And I do recommend posting at least 3 to 4 times a week. But in a sales perspective, like connecting to those, your ICP, and trying to approach them, it just hasn't been that effective. So what I've realized also, I have led a team of cold callers for Alo Ai, and we've been cold calling dentists as well for the past month. And also that hasn't been effective because when you call dentists, first of all, they're busy, so they usually don't answer. And in the receptionists, like they're not the decision makers, but they'd really like to be. So they're gatekeepers. And if you mention AI, they're like, oh my God, it's going to replace my job. And they're super scared. And anyways, it's not as effective as maybe you would think. So going back to what our approach is moving forward for the rest of 2025, we have just started cold email campaign. Literally, I think 2 days ago it went live, and so far has sent 1,000 emails. And the reason I say cold email is really good is because it's a very high leverage activity to do. Imagine you pay $150 for a software, you buy some domains, and in its peak, when your emails are warmed up and they're working, you can send up to 10,000 emails a day, which is like unheard of if you have enough domains. And if you could send up to 800 per email domain, and you can just scale that like to the moon. So that's why I think it's a high leverage activity, because per dollar you can get very high output out. And another thing which is very high leverage, which will be moving towards very soon, is paid ads. So with paid ads, it's much harder to master. And that's why not too many people are doing it, because at the beginning, you have to be comfortable with burning $2,000 to $5,000 to let the algorithm know which type of audience should it target, and who really is interested and consumes your content and shows that kind of engagement. And also the creative is very important as well. These days, like there's a lot of people in the paid ads, and the cost per click or acquisition on it's going higher and higher, and that's the trend forever. But if your creative stops people from scrolling, I mean, that's the key. And they say 80% of your budget should be in the first 2 to 5 seconds, because the attention spans are absolutely, yeah, very low. But these are the two avenues I would suggest going into, because they're very high leverage. And if you get a paid ads ecosystem that for every dollar you put in, you get like $3 back, that's a cheat code. Like you can literally sell the car, put all the money in the paid ads, and it's literally going to print. That's where you want to get to, and you can just torch it. And that's why it's very high leverage. So I would say these two avenues for sure for the rest of 2025. And you can ask me this question again early 2076. I mean,
Yeah, I think that we were actually discussing you were talking about the cost. I think the Google ad costs are going up, and I talked to some dentists. They're like, yeah, we utilize Google ad, but Google ad is also getting expensive for some of the dentists when they run this ad. They're not only running they're running a couple of hundred ads a day or even more. Adds up for them when it comes the cost of it, and sometimes you don't see that return on that investment right away. It takes time for you to get the patient, to get the people to kind of, for them, like you said, you have to warm it up, understand the algorithm and everything before you can really see that. But the one conversation I had with one of the CEOs of a dental group, Dr. Hughes, he said the Google ads are not as effective, or at least your business shouldn't rely on it as much. Do you believe that the business can survive without the Google ads? Or if you're not running Google ads, what other ads are there to run that's going to be as effective as Google? Do you think Facebook ads are as effective? Do you believe that the AI is going to do something that is going to change the landscape of that? What are other avenues that you can use if you decide not to use Google ads?
this is a great old question in business. You should never, ever rely for your customer acquisition be from one channel. I mean, if that channel somehow like burns and I don't know, Google's or goes bankrupt, which there's not a 0% chance, your business will die with it. So you should always like have many different customer acquisition channels. And also, you mentioned Google ads. Google and Facebook or Meta are the most popular. But there is so many gems in those small ones, like Reddit. Reddit is very cheap to run, but if you can find your audience interacting with it, it's cheap, but it gets the same results. So recent industry trends have shown that people are actually moving more and more away of these mainstream Meta and Google ads and are going to those smaller websites that you may not think it works, but you can try it. You can try like $100, $200, see what's your result. And if you see the results, you see your ICP is actually there, but you didn't know in a way, that is a cheat code as well. So I would say definitely trying different platforms. Like, don't be comfortable with just Google or Meta. And also, like, yeah, the cost will keep going up because there's going to be more competition. So having someone that is an expert in creating a creative that stands out is so important. I cannot express this enough. Like, having a good creative really makes you stand out and may bring your cost of acquisition to half. So there's these keys. Like, obviously you can't be perfect because there's no perfection in the human world. These are some avenues to try out, and never try to only have one acquisition channel. Always branch out. So there's different ad platforms, there's cold email. You can even have like an AI cold caller, which we're actually having a call for Alo AI later this month to have an AI cold call like 1,000 people a day. With AI, this is so possible. And it's, again, talking to that leverage point that I spoke with earlier. So yeah, just trying different things, see what sticks, and towards that.
Yeah, man. I love that. I think those are all great ideas when it comes to figuring out and finding out how to scale businesses. Because I think, like you said, if you're relying just on Google and all this time, like, even if the Google decides to shut down your business account, then that goes your way of doing business and marketing and things like that is going to put a lot of pressure on your day-to-day operation and everything else. Well, Sadra John, I don't want to take any more of you guys' time. Truly, I appreciate the fact that you came on and spoke and brought so many different avenues of how we can kind of overcome the obstacle of doing business, the entrepreneurship at a young age, figuring out the ways, figuring out what we need to do to kind of stay in the game and not give up, because that's one of the important part of this whole conversation. And I always tell people, doesn't matter where you are in your life, just remember that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We all come out the other side and figure out what we need to do. uh, I think me and Sina just today had uh, to make some tough decisions for Dentment. It is hard sometimes, but you got to do what you got to do in business just to make it. But the one thing I want to ask you before I let you guys go, what is one thing that you would tell yourself right now to kind of help you stay motivated and stay in the game and have a longevity? What is that one thing you would tell yourself?
Do you want to take this one first?
You go first. You are the guest.
Um, the one thing I would say is that this is not forever. That's the one thing I would say. Yeah, every successful person has those periods that they're in monk mode. They are working super hard, and it will never, ever, forever for them. And that's just what I gotta remind myself as well.
Man, that's amazing. I love that. Yeah. Man, let me tattoo that on my arms. It's not forever. I love that, man. I love that. Well, Sina, you gotta tell me what it, because you say guess. You're my guest as well. But I want to know, what is one thing you tell yourself to stay in the game, because we gotta make sure you're okay, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I hit the the bottom lines, I'm like, this shall too pass. There are like many things that I haven't experienced and I haven't seen, I haven't visited, I haven't done. So this shall too pass. So I'm like, you gotta keep going till you experience everything that you have ever wanted. So that's just, kind of a, thing that I, keep telling myself to keep that in mind, I would say. So yeah, this shall to pass, and there are like many amazing things that everyone's gonna encounter and experience down the road. So yeah, just keep that momentum and be motivated, and just keep up the, good work. That's it.
Absolutely, man. I love that. Thank you, gentlemen, for hopping on. Thank you, Sadra John, for hopping on. I know you guys are going to do an amazing thing. I'm just happy to be part of it. I'm happy to see where you guys are going to go. I will come back 10 years from now and check with Sadra and see if he paid his mom house off, if he has a passive income, and if he built any values for anybody. So we'll come back to you in 10 years, Sadra John. Until next
Sounds
time.
good.
All right.
All right, guys.
Yes. Bye.